Ever wondered how a city as iconic and dynamic as New York is prepared to face the relentless forces of climate change? How do urban planners and engineers come together to safeguard low-lying areas from the impending threat of sea flooding? What innovative strategies are they implementing that could redefine the future of coastal resilience? Well, today, we're delving deep into the heart of the Big Apple to uncover the answers to these pressing questions. So, before we get into the video, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel. Join us on this intriguing journey as we unravel the extraordinary $52 billion plan that aims to protect New York City from the rising tides and secure its future in the face of climate challenges. New York City ranks among the world's most densely populated coastal metropolises, currently formulating strategies in anticipation of an inevitable surge in sea levels. This phenomenon, as asserted by scientific experts, will exacerbate flooding catastrophes resulting from occurrences such as thunderstorms, high tides, and hurricanes. Projected increases in sea levels in New York City range between 8 and 30 inches by the 2050s, escalating to a potential 15 to 75 inches by the century's end, as per the estimations provided by the NYC Panel on Climate Change. Approximately 1.3 million inhabitants of New York City reside either within or in close proximity to the floodplain, as per the data provided by Rebuild by Design, a group specializing in climate research and development. The escalating sea levels could potentially elevate this figure to 2.2 million New York City residents. The repercussions of rising sea levels were explicitly demonstrated in 2012, when Superstorm Sandy, classified as a Category 3 storm at its utmost intensity, impacted New York City in the form of a tropical storm. This weather event, in conjunction with a high tide, resulted in a storm surge from the East River infiltrating Lower Manhattan. The surge was recorded at over 9 feet above regular tide levels in Battery Park, while floodwater depths reached up to 14 feet in Staten Island, as per a municipal report. The situation we are faced with is critical. An estimated 2.5 million New York residents reside within the 100-year floodplain, thereby facing a 1% annual risk of a significant flooding event. Furthermore, the city has experienced a significant loss of its sand dunes and coastal marshlands, which historically served as natural defenses against rising sea levels and storm surges, thus safeguarding residents in vulnerable, low-lying neighborhoods. According to a recent report by the city's comptroller, property values within the city's floodplain have escalated to over $176 billion, marking an increase of approximately 44% since the Sandy disaster. These escalating sea levels and the increased frequency of storms pose a threat to up to $242 billion worth of property at risk of coastal flooding by the 2050s. This represents a 38% increase from the current market value. In the Queens area, property values within the floodplain have surged to over $60 billion, indicating roughly a 43% increase since the Sandy disaster. By the 2050s, up to $72 billion in property value could potentially be at risk from coastal flooding. In the aftermath of the devastating storm, New York City mourned the loss of 44 of its residents, as confirmed by the city officials. Since the occurrence of Hurricane Sandy, the city has undertaken crucial measures to safeguard its infrastructure against flooding. These measures encompass the fortification of vital facilities such as hospitals, power plants, and major tunnels, which were rendered inaccessible to both vehicular and subway traffic due to the storm. The U.S. Army Corps of Engineers has put forth a proposal for the erection of colossal sea gates across the New York Harbor. This ambitious plan, estimated at $52 billion, involves the construction of 12 adjustable sea gates at the entrances of significant bays and inlets within the harbor. The proposed $52 billion initiative represents the most extensive project to date in addressing storm surge and sea level rises in the region, marking the first comprehensive action taken to safeguard the entire New York Harbor region. The proposal encompasses the construction of dynamic sea gates designed to close during significant storms, thereby obstructing waterways in Queens, Staten Island, and New Jersey. Further, the plan advocates for the erection of over 30 miles of land-based levees, elevated shorelines, and seawalls. The strategy also emphasizes the integration of natural solutions such as wetland restoration and the creation of living shorelines composed of sand, oyster shells, and plants aimed at mitigating wave force. While the daily impacts may not be immediately apparent, it is crucial for the mitigation of climate change that infrastructure development prioritizes the protection of urban areas. The introduction of seawalls, urban forestry, and even the concept of floating cities are among the innovative solutions proposed by engineers globally. In the local context of Battery Park City, an investment of at least $221 million is being considered to mitigate the effects of potential flooding in the future. This plan is aimed at safeguarding key sectors at the southern tip of Manhattan, inclusive of Wagner Park, a 3.5-acre waterfront green space. This park is set to undergo significant reconstruction, which will involve its elevation from a mere 3 meters above sea level to 6. The centerpiece of this initiative is an extensive new flood wall. Certain segments will be concealed beneath the park, while others will be visible or capped with glass. This is a departure from the conventional seawall that would partition in the area, as the concealed wall will provide visitors with increased access to the greenery. The visible section will incorporate flip-up gates that will remain flat when not activated. The flood wall will extend northwards towards Tribeca, accompanied by an ancillary flood barrier system that runs along the waterfront. The project incorporates an improved drainage system, complete with the installation of isolation valves and tide gates. At Pier A Plaza, the district's lowest point, a 2-level landscape design featuring tiered seating will serve as a shield against incoming waters. The wooden seating is designed to withstand prolonged submersion. The project will also involve the planting of trees and the construction of concrete structures that are resistant to saltwater. This comprehensive approach aims to fortify the neighborhood and adjacent areas against the threats of rising sea levels, storm surges, and flooding, with a particular focus on mitigating the impact of rare 100-year storm events. This could result in substantial savings for the city in terms of financial costs, human lives, and property preservation in the event of future storms. The proposition indeed holds promise, yet not all parties are in agreement, particularly those in Wagner Park. Local champions have resisted these modifications for several years, citing a potential 10% reduction in green space, a resource already scarce in New York City. In an attempt to address these concerns, authorities have undertaken numerous revisions to the initial proposal. Nevertheless, for many, these amendments are insufficient, leading to the proposal of alternative solutions such as an expansive flood wall and the flood-proofing of existing structures. Despite these suggestions, officials maintain that elevation remains crucial in fortifying the park against potential future storms that could pose a significant flood risk. In a city with a population exceeding 8 million, it is to be expected that many wish to influence future developments, particularly given the profound effects that climate change has already manifested. The preservation of Battery Park is merely one aspect of a broader strategy to combat climate change throughout the city. The proposal put forth by the Army Corps serves as an interim solution, but not a permanent remedy, according to climate adaptation experts. They caution that the inexorable advance of the sea will ultimately surmount even the most expensive infrastructure, such as seawalls. The government will likely be compelled to negotiate buyouts and orchestrate the relocation of inhabitants residing in New York's vulnerable low-lying regions. Paul Galli, director of the Resilient Coastal Communities program at Columbia Center for Sustainable Urban Development, suggests certain communities will inevitably need to vacate their locations in due course. It's merely a question of timing, he stated. Nonetheless, it's crucial for these communities to comprehend that there exists no superior alternatives prior to contemplating relocation. Galli acknowledged that the Army Corps' proposal for this year marks a commendable initiative. However, he stressed that officials necessitate a vast amount of supplementary data before they can adequately safeguard the susceptible, low-lying communities. He further advocated for the assembly of community members and environmental organizations to foster transparent discussions about the advantages, disadvantages, and uncertainties associated with these engineered projects. Opponents of the proposal contend that the envisaged plans would offer only ephemeral protection against storm surges, neglecting the more significant and enduring threat of rising sea levels. There have also been apprehensions regarding the potential environmental destruction that the new infrastructure might instigate. Galli asserted, if our objective is to safeguard these low-lying communities in New York, or indeed anywhere across the nation, we must acknowledge that the future sustainability of these regions is inextricably linked to our efficiency in diminishing greenhouse gas emissions. What do you think about New York's plan to save low-lying areas from flooding? How successful do you think it will be? Let us know down in the comments section. If you found this video intriguing and want to delve deeper into the future of construction, be sure to subscribe to the Uber Build.